Victor Caldwell just handed 8 years of my work to his 25-year-old daughter who'd been here 4 months. My name is Wade Sullivan. I'm 48. I sat there in that conference room watching everyone clap for Sophia's promotion to Regional Operations Director while my coffee went cold. The meeting room smelled like burned coffee and broken promises. Sophia smiled like she'd actually earned something. Fresh MBA from some expensive school. Zero real experience. Victor stood there beaming like his little princess had just cured cancer instead of stepping into a job she knew nothing about. Wade's been invaluable getting Sophia up to speed, Victor said, like that made it better. Like 8 years of perfect reviews and working weekends was just training camp for his kid. I nodded and kept my mouth shut. Had to. When you're 48 with a son heading to college and a mother whose Medicare doesn't cover everything, you learn to bite your tongue. But something in my gut was telling me this was different. This wasn't just another corporate disappointment. This was the moment everything changes. The meeting broke up and people shook Sophia's hand. I gathered my folders and moved slow, taking my time. My head was clear for the first time in months. Like when you're on watch duty at 3 a.m. and suddenly understand exactly what that radar blip means. Victor caught my arm as I headed for the door. Wade, stick around a minute. We stood alone after everyone else filed out. He loosened his tie, tried to look sorry about something. Victor was 56, soft around the middle, thinning hair he combed over to hide the bald spots. Got his money when his daddy died and left him the business. Same thing he just pulled with Sophia. I know this might come as a surprise, he said. But Sophia brings fresh perspectives to the table, new ideas. You understand, right? I looked at him. I understand perfectly. He relaxed, like I just agreed to train his replacement. Good. You're valuable here, Wade. Really valuable. Valuable. Not valuable enough for the promotion I'd been working toward since 2016. Valuable enough to teach his daughter how to do the job I should have gotten. If you like stories about how real expertise beats people who think family names matter more than hard work, hit that subscribe button right now. I walked back to my desk while the office buzzed with normal activity. Phones ringing, keyboards clicking, people solving problems like any other Tuesday. Same old routine, except everything had changed. I opened my laptop and started typing my resignation letter. Hands were steady, head was clear. For the first time in years, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Started at Gulf Coast Equipment in March 2016, right after my divorce got finalized. Needed a fresh start, and oil field equipment distribution seemed solid. Something to build on after 12 years in the Navy, taught me how machines work and people don't always. Victor hired me himself, shook my hand, said they needed someone with my technical background. I'd spent my last 4 years in the service maintaining drilling equipment on offshore platforms before budget cuts sent me packing. At 40, starting over in civilian life wasn't easy, but Victor made it sound good. We're growing fast, he said during my interview. Lots of opportunity for advancement for the right people. I became the right guy. Worked weekends when shipments ran late, stayed after hours when rigs had equipment failures. Troubleshot hydraulic systems from here to Louisiana. Built relationships with suppliers, Houston to Midland. Performance reviews were always perfect. Victor always smiled, always promised bigger things. Your management material, Wade, just be patient. Patient. I was good at being patient. Navy teaches you that. My son Mason visited every other weekend. He was 17, smart enough to see when his old man looked tired. Sometimes he'd find me at the kitchen table Sunday mornings with my laptop open answering emails. Dad, it's the weekend. Just catching up, building something good here. He'd roll his eyes, but he understood. His mom remarried a contractor who worked normal hours and coached Little League. I was the dad who worked too much but never missed sending money on time. Never missed his games when it was my weekend. Had those $1,000 to $200 alimony payments every month, reminding me why this job had to work out. When I told Mason about the possible promotion 6 months ago, he got excited. My dad's going to be a director, he told his friends. Now I'd have to explain why that wasn't happening. The first warning sign showed up last winter. Victor mentioned his daughter might join the company. Smart girl, just finished her MBA business degree from Rice. I nodded, thought nothing of it. Companies hire graduates all the time. Start them at entry level. Let them learn from the bottom up like everyone else. But Sophia didn't start at the bottom. Started in the office next to Victor's with the title Operations Specialist and a salary I could only guess at. Victor introduced her around like visiting royalty. Sophia's going to observe our processes, learn how we do things. Sophia observed by sitting in on my client calls, taking notes while I explained vendor negotiations. Asked questions that showed she didn't understand the basics of what we did, but she was polite about it. Said yes, sir, and thank you, like her mother raised her right. I trained her because that's what you do. Help the new person. Even when the new person's last name is Caldwell, even when her daddy signs your checks, even when you start to suspect where this is heading. I knew for sure 3 weeks ago, stayed late finishing quarterly reports, going through supplier performance metrics. Office was empty, except for the cleaning crew. Headed to the break room for coffee when I heard voices from Victor's office. Door was cracked open and the hallway carried sound better than people realized. The board's going to ask questions, Victor was saying. Sophia's only been here 3 months. Deeper voice, older. James Wheeler from corporate. You said Wade was ready for promotion. Wade's solid, but Sophia's family and she's got the MBA. Board likes degrees. What about Wade's experience? Victor laughed. Not mean, but not kind either. Wade's a good worker, reliable, but he's not executive material. He'll keep doing what he's doing, make good money. Everything works out. I stood in that hallway for 30 seconds listening to them plan my future. Sophia would get Henderson's old position, the same job I'd been working toward since 2016. I'd train her, support her, pretend to be grateful for the opportunity. Wade won't cause problems, Victor continued. He's got a kid heading to college, mother in assisted living. He needs this job. He'll fall in line like some broken horse. Like 8 years of loyalty had earned me the right to be grateful for scraps. My ex-wife always said I was too passive. You let people walk over you, Wade. Stand up for yourself for once. Maybe she'd been right. I walked away quiet, didn't want them to hear my footsteps. Went back to my desk, saved my work, drove home in complete silence. Couldn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about Victor's words, about falling in line. Next morning, I came to work different. Watched Sophia closer, noticed how Victor included her in executive meetings while keeping me focused on day-to-day operations. Saw how other managers started deferring to Sophia on decisions that should have been mine. 3 weeks later, sitting in that conference room, watching Sophia accept congratulations for a job she hadn't earned, something broke inside me. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. Victor thought I needed this job. Thought I'd shut up because I had bills and a son heading to Texas A&M and a mother whose medical costs were eating me alive. He was wrong about everything. I submitted my resignation letter at exactly 4:30 p.m. Friday. Victor had just returned from walking Sophia around the warehouse, showing her what he called her domain. I knocked on his door, handed him the envelope. This is my 2 weeks' notice. Victor's face went through several expressions. Confusion, disbelief, then something that looked like panic. He tore open the envelope, read it twice. Is this a joke? No, sir. You can't be serious. You're leaving because Sophia got promoted? I stayed quiet, let him fill the silence. Victor stood up, paced behind his desk. Wade, let's be reasonable here. You're upset, I get it. But walking away from 8 years, that's not smart. I've made my decision. What about your son? Your responsibilities? There it was. The leverage he thought he had. The reason I'd fall in line and keep quiet. I'll manage. Victor's tone got harder. You realize how this looks? Quitting because you didn't get promoted. It's unprofessional, childish. I nodded. I can see how you'd think that. I won't give you a good reference. You understand that? Walking out like this, leaving us hanging. No company's going to want someone who throws tantrums. 8 years of perfect performance. And now I was throwing tantrums. 8 years of staying late and working weekends, and now I was unprofessional. That's your choice. Victor sat back down, tried a different approach. Look, Wade, I like you. You're good at what you do, but Sophia brings something different. Youth, fresh ideas, vision. Vision, I repeated. The board wants innovation, new thinking. Sophia represents the future of this company. And what do I represent? Victor paused. Experience, stability. Those are valuable too. Valuable enough to train his replacement, not valuable enough to promote. I appreciate the clarification. Don't do this, Wade. Take the weekend, think it over, come back Monday, and we'll forget this conversation ever happened. He genuinely believed I would back down. Believed that threatening my reference would make me fold like a bad hand of cards. I'll finish out my 2 weeks. Train Sophia on anything she needs to know. Victor's face darkened. You think Sophia needs training from someone who quits when things don't go his way. She's going to need to understand the vendor contracts, the safety protocols, the emergency procedures. Unless you plan to figure all that out yourself. That hit home. Victor knew he didn't understand the technical side of operations, neither did Sophia. They needed me for at least 2 more weeks. Fine, 2 weeks. But don't expect any favors after that. I nodded and turned to leave. Wade, Victor called after me. You're making a mistake, a big one. I stopped at the door. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Monday morning brought revelations. I arrived early and found Sophia already at her desk, looking overwhelmed. She had spreadsheets open on 2 monitors, frantically taking notes from vendor emails. Morning, Sophia. How's the transition going? She looked up, relief flooding her face. Wade, thank God. I've been here since 6 trying to understand the Morrison account. Their procurement manager is threatening to cancel if we don't resolve some hydraulic pump issue by noon. Morrison Industries, our biggest client, they ordered specialized drilling equipment worth $3.2 million annually. I'd been managing their account for 5 years, building the relationship through reliable service and understanding their just-in-time delivery requirements. What's the issue? Something about delayed hydraulic pumps from our supplier in Beaumont, but I can't figure out which supplier and their emails are confusing. I looked at Sophia's screen. She had Morrison's email open, but she was also looking at supplier contracts that had nothing to do with hydraulic pumps. She was drowning. Did your dad brief you on the Morrison relationship? He said you handled the transition, but then he mentioned your situation, and I thought maybe I should figure it out myself. Show initiative, my situation, that's what they were calling it now. I spent the next 4 hours walking Sophia through the Morrison relationship, explained how their just-in-time requirements worked, why they needed equipment delivered within 6-hour windows, how their drilling schedule would shut down if we missed deadlines, showed her the backup supplier network I'd built over 5 years, helped her understand why a simple shipping delay could cascade into a contract cancellation. This is incredibly complex, Sophia said, as we finished resolving the crisis. How do you keep track of all these moving parts? Experience and good documentation. Could you show me your documentation system? That's when I realized something. Victor hadn't just promoted Sophia without preparation. He'd promoted her without understanding what the job actually required. Sophia wasn't incompetent, but she was completely unprepared for the scope of regional operations. I spent my lunch break making phone calls, reaching out to contacts I'd built over the years. Word travels fast in oil field equipment, and people were already hearing about changes at Gulf Coast. Wade, said Diana Pierce, Morrison's procurement manager who'd threatened to cancel that morning. I heard rumors about management changes. Please tell me you're still handling our account. For the next 2 weeks, after that, Sophia Caldwell will be your primary contact. Silence on the line. Caldwell, as in Victor Caldwell's daughter. That's right. Jesus, Wade, that girl called me this morning asking questions that made no sense. I thought she was new to the team, not replacing you. She's eager to learn. I don't have time to train Gulf Coast's management. We've got drilling schedules to meet. If your company can't provide competent service, we'll find someone who can. That conversation repeated itself 3 times with 3 different major clients. By the end of the day, I had a clearer picture of what would happen after I left. Sophia would struggle. Clients would get frustrated. Victor would panic and try to micromanage operations he didn't understand. The whole regional division would start bleeding clients within 6 months. But that wasn't my problem anymore. The payback came faster than I expected. Tuesday morning, my phone rang. Roy Hendricks from Lone Star Energy Services, a major player in the Permian Basin. Wade, heard through the grapevine you might be available. Word travels fast. It does when good people become available, especially people with your client relationships. Roy offered me a position as Regional Operations Director at exactly the title Victor had given to Sophia. The salary was 35% higher than what I'd been making at Gulf Coast, $78,000 to $105,000. Better benefits, better company truck, and most importantly, they wanted me to bring my client network. We've been trying to break into the specialized drilling equipment market, Roy explained. Your relationships with Morrison Industries and the other majors would be invaluable. It was standard industry practice. Clients followed account managers they trusted, especially in equipment where downtime costs millions. I hadn't signed a non-compete, and the clients I'd served were free to choose their suppliers. I'd need to finish my 2 weeks at Gulf Coast first. Professional courtesy, though I suspect they might release you early once they understand the situation. Roy was right about that. Thursday afternoon, Victor called me into his office. Sophia sat in the corner looking miserable. Word of my interview had reached them. I hear you're talking to competitors, Victor said. I'm exploring opportunities. While you're still employed here, that's a conflict of interest. I haven't shared any proprietary information. Your client relationships are proprietary. My client relationships are personal. I built them over 8 years of professional service. Victor's face was red now. Those clients belong to Gulf Coast Equipment. You take them with you and we'll sue you for everything you're worth. Sophia spoke up from the corner. Dad, maybe we should. Shut up, Sophia. Victor didn't take his eyes off me. You walk out that door and try to steal our clients. I'll make sure you never work in this industry again. I stood up slowly. Victor, I've given you 8 years of my life, perfect performance reviews, 60-hour weeks. I trained your daughter to take the job you promised me. I've been nothing but professional through this entire process, and now you're threatening me. I'm protecting my business. I'm moving on to a better opportunity. What happens after that depends on how professional this transition is. Victor leaned back. We'll see about that. I walked to the door, then turned back. Sophia, if you need help with anything this week, just ask. Despite what your father thinks, I want you to succeed. Sophia nodded gratefully. Victor glared. I spent my last week documenting everything Sophia would need to know, not because Victor deserved it, but because Sophia was 25 and had been thrown into an impossible situation. The people who depended on our equipment supply chain deserved better than chaos. On my final day, I cleaned out my desk and handed Victor my security badge. This isn't over, he said. For me it is. I walked out of Gulf Coast Equipment feeling lighter than I had in years. Started at Lone Star the following Monday with a $15,000 signing bonus and company truck that actually ran properly. Roy introduced me around like the veteran hire I was. No politics, no family connections, just professional respect for what I could deliver. Within my first month, I'd brought Morrison Industries over to Lone Star. Deanna Pierce made it clear their decision had nothing to do with loyalty to me and everything to do with reliable service and technical competence. We need partners who understand our business, she told Roy during our first meeting. Wade gets it. Your company gets it. That's what matters. 2 other major accounts followed within 8 weeks. Lone Star's specialized drilling equipment division grew 40% in my first quarter. Roy couldn't have been happier. Best hire we've made in years, he told me over lunch. You've got those old Navy problem-solving skills. See a problem, fix it, move on, no drama, no politics. Meanwhile, back at Gulf Coast, things were falling apart exactly like I'd predicted. Sophia lasted 3 months before she couldn't handle the pressure anymore. Word was that Victor had to step in personally to manage operations, which went about as well as you'd expect from someone who'd never worked a day in the field. The full extent of the damage became clear 6 months later. I was settling into my new routine at Lone Star when Roy called me into his office with a business magazine. He had that look people get when they're about to share really good gossip. Wade, you need to see this, he said, sliding the magazine across his desk. The headline read, Gulf Coast Equipment Regional Division loses major contracts, family business practices under investigation. The article detailed how Gulf Coast had lost 5 major accounts in 4 months, including Morrison Industries and Border States Drilling. Revenue in the West Texas region was down 68%. The board had launched an investigation into management practices after shareholders started asking uncomfortable questions about nepotism and operational competence. Victor Caldwell was terminated last week. Roy said, barely containing his satisfaction. Board discovered that Sophia had been hired without proper qualifications and promoted over more experienced candidates. They're calling it a comprehensive review of family business practices. I read further. Sophia had resigned voluntarily after 2 months of struggling with accounts she couldn't manage. She'd returned to graduate school to study petroleum engineering, which showed more wisdom than her father ever had. According to the article, Victor faced multiple lawsuits from Morrison Industries for breach of contract after equipment failures caused production delays that cost them $2.8 million. Here's the interesting part. Roy continued, 3 of their remaining clients have already contacted us, specifically asking if you're available to handle their accounts. The article mentioned that several former Gulf Coast employees had been recruited by competitors, taking their institutional knowledge with them. No names were listed, but I recognized the pattern. When good people leave a company, others notice. What goes around comes around, Roy said. Victor Caldwell spent 8 years taking you for granted. Now he's unemployed while you're building our West Texas division. I folded the magazine and handed it back. I feel bad for Sophia. Kid got thrown into a situation she wasn't ready for. Sophia will be fine. She's young. She'll learn from this. Victor, on the other hand, Roy shrugged. Hard to feel sorry for someone who threw away good people to promote family. The vindication felt better than I'd expected, but it wasn't the angry satisfaction I thought it would be. More like watching natural consequences play out the way they're supposed to. Victor had built his business on relationships and technical expertise that other people provided, then convinced himself he was the one making it all work. A year later, I was driving through Austin on business when I stopped for lunch at a diner near the airport. Sophia Caldwell was sitting alone in a corner booth, reading a textbook about mechanical engineering principles. She looked up when I approached. "Wade, what are you doing here?" "Business trip, mind if I sit?" She gestured to the empty seat across from her. Sophia looked older, more serious than the overwhelmed 25-year-old I'd left behind. The textbook was Petroleum Engineering Fundamentals, 3rd edition. "Back in school," she said, "engineering program at UT. Figured I should actually learn what I was supposed to be managing." "Smart move." "I wanted to thank you," Sophia said, "for how you handled everything. You could have hung me out to dry, but you didn't. You tried to help me succeed even after. Everything. You were in an impossible situation." Sophia closed her textbook. "Dad still blames you for everything. Says you sabotaged the company, poisoned the clients against us." I sipped my coffee. "What do you think? I think I was 25 years old with an MBA and no real-world experience. I think Dad gave me a job I wasn't qualified for because I was family. And I think you spent 8 years earning a promotion that should have been yours." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. The diner was busy with the lunch crowd, oil field workers, and traveling salesmen grabbing quick meals before getting back on the road. "I'm sorry about how everything went down," Sophia said. "You deserved better, we both did. But sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to." I paid for both our lunches and shook Sophia's hand before leaving. She was a good kid who'd been used as a pawn in her father's game. 6 months after that encounter, Victor filed for bankruptcy after losing his wrongful termination lawsuit against Gulf Coast's board of directors. The company had been acquired by a larger firm, and the new management made it clear they had no interest in employing executives who'd been terminated for nepotism. Sophia graduated with honors and landed an entry-level position at a petroleum engineering firm in Dallas, where she spent 2 years learning the business from the ground up before earning her first real promotion. She sent me a LinkedIn message when it happened. Simple note, finally earned one the right way. Thanks for the example. The daughter had learned what the father never understood, that respect and advancement must be earned, not inherited. These days, I'm regional director for the fastest-growing energy services company in Texas. Mason graduated from Texas A&M last spring with a petroleum engineering degree, inspired by watching his old man finally stand up for himself. He's working for a drilling company in Midland now, learning the business the right way, from the bottom up. Mom's medical bills are covered by my new insurance, and I've got enough saved to help Mason with his student loans. The divorce settlement that used to keep me awake at night worrying about money? That's ancient history now. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's just walking away and building something better. Turns out when you know what you're doing and people trust you to get it done right, the rest takes care of itself. Victor thought he could use my financial obligations to keep me in line, make me grateful for scraps while he handed my work to his daughter. He was wrong about everything that mattered. I learned something from the Navy that Victor never understood. You don't earn respect by inheriting a position or promoting family. You earn it by showing up, doing the work, and proving you can handle whatever comes next. Everything else is just noise. If you enjoyed this story, you know what real expertise looks like when it gets the chance to prove itself. And you know what happens when people mistake political connections for actual competence. The market always wins in the end.